What's going on, YouTube? We got the patch notes for the upcoming changes and improvements. All right. This actually goes live in then I think 15 minutes from when I recorded this video. So, Path of Exile 2 has been live for just over a week. We've addressed some feedback already and are working on more fixes for key pain points in upcoming patch. The full patch notes are coming soon, but check out some of the more significant changes below. All right, so gameplay. Like we mentioned last week, we'll be adding the capacity to fast travel between checkpoints, which is huge. Humongous. Meaning if you find these first, you'll be able to instantly travel to them to continue exploring. So the little totems that you can hit, those are the checkpoints. Not the fast travel point, but the checkpoints. You can travel between them. All right, Trials of Sekima. So players were finding the Trials of Sekima particularly frustrating in close range. Melee builds, it sucks. I think I did it once or twice and it sucked. In close range, so we've worked how honor damage scales when in close range, as well as we fixing an important bug that was causing people to take far too much honor damage from damage over time, which I didn't even know was a thing. Obviously, I don't do this one. I do the Trial of Chaos. Honor damage now scales down based on distance to enemies. When in close range, you'll take 35% less honor damage, which is huge. So that's awesome. Tapering off as you are further away from monsters. So it'd be like 34 or 35, 30, 25, and so on. The further you get away. Fixed a bug where damage over time was dealing thrice as much damage to honor as intended. Thrice? That's crazy. And fixed a bug where honor resistance was only applying to two-thirds of that damage. This was confusing for us too. Skitter golems no longer use basic attacks and instead now just explode. Serpent clans burrow and ambush attacks now has improved visually telegraphing and cannot be used for as far away. Volcanoes created by Rattle Cage's Fizzer Slam now last half their duration. I think that's the final boss, because he would spawn so many damn volcanoes that it would be cluttering the whole map. In-game and monster balance. This is what I really care about. Maps no. Okay, so generally, the balance in-game maps was more punishing than intended, which I agree. To a certain point, don't dumb it down too much. So we toned down the damage in a number of ways and disabled a certain on-death effect where the telegraphing was not as clear as it should have been. Remember I was saying earlier that in certain maps you couldn't see those after death effects when you kill a mob, a rare mob, and then it explodes or whatever. So I think they're disabling that. Maps no longer have additional elemental resistant penalties, which is huge. Applied inherently applied at tier 6 and tier 11 or higher maps. It is now consistent across all the in-game. Why change? Why would you have changed it from Path of Exile 1? But great change. Chaos damage now also scales less aggressively over the in-game. Critical strikes from monsters now deal 40% less bonus damage. Huge. Lowered the baseline monster density of breach encounters. I was talking about that earlier too. You would hit the breach and thing, and as soon as it opened, you had a shit ton of mobs around you. Very dangerous. What else? Disabled the what is that? Disabled the volatile crystal modifier crystals modifier. Well, we'll revisit this in the future pending telegraphic improvements. Purple explosions created by the volatile plant modifier or rare monsters now deal significantly less damage. Huge. Because I've gotten killed by it so many times. I don't really care about this one, so I'm not going to read it. If you want to read it, just go to, I'll put the link in the description. Character and item balances. You guys can read across those too. There's some nerfs, but some buffs as well. Skills and support gym balance. Since launch, we've unfortunately had to nerf a few skills that were far too overpowered. How do we define overpowered? Basically, it's a situation in which a certain skill is so powerful that players feel no other method of playing the game is viable. So going in, one-shotting a boss, and calling it a day. Everybody's going to want to play that build or use that skill or whatever. Generally speaking, we are trying to do this in a way that doesn't make a build bad, but we can make mistakes. Ideally, and truly meta shifting changes will only happen at the same time as a content patch with a new league to play in. So this is how they did it in Path of Exile 1. The start of as soon as the leagues start and a build was found to be overpowered and broken, they would not patch it until that next league, which is how they're going to do it. But that doesn't mean we haven't been looking at underpowered skills and support gyms. We've got a number of changes planned which should improve some of these skills. Sunder does good damage, but it is very, very, very slow. You go to cast it, something hits you and staggers you, it cancels it. Go to hit, cancel. It's annoying. So hopefully that's one of them. The full list of changes will be in the patch notes, but here is a sample of what you can expect. Improvements to Rolling Slam and all shield skills in the mace section. Improve to various bow skills, especially the skills used to generate frenzy charges. Improvements to bone spells and chaos damage over time spells. Various crossbow skills. And some of the underachieving quarterstaff abilities. Which ones are those? Because that's what I'm using, quarterstaff. Alongside all of these skill gems improvements, we also done a pass over the support gems. We've added 2 new supports. What? 2 new support gems? And removed or lessened the penalties on many others. Notably, the fire, lightning, and cold exposure supports. Added the Tremors support gem, which can be used to give up to multiple more aftershocks to skills with a damage penalty. Sunder. I would hit with Sunder and it would do an aftershock. So I'd hit it once and the initial one, and then it would hit another wave of Sunder would roll out. So multiple more to be like do. That's insane. What else? So the fire exposure, lightning exposure, and cold exposure support gems no longer penalize damage over damage of supported skills. They now have a mana cost multiplier of 120%. There are also some notable nerfs to a few of the remaining overachieving skills. Skeletal Arsonist spirit cost now match the other 2 skeleton mages. This should result in a slight decrease in the number of arsonists at a higher level. Okay, a nerf to the damage over time component. Or on very high levels of tornado and vine arrow. These were never intended to be dealing damage themselves, but more so act as a way for other skills to propagate damage. So pretty much like trap them in or and then you hit them with another skill. That's what I'm getting from that. Magnetic Salvo can now only use your stuck lightning arrows as opposed to those created by your party members. So Salvo can now only use your stuck lightning arrows. So I'm guessing that people were using, like, let's say they had a friend or a party member that were using bow skills or stuck lightning arrows, and their magnetic salvo would stack on top of with their friends' skills as well. So it's probably doing some crazy ass damage. As we wind down for the holiday season, we wanted to thank you all for our most successful launch so far. We could not have done it without all of your support. A lot of our team will begin taking some time, much needed rest over the next few weeks, but we look forward to getting back in the new year, refreshed and ready for an exciting year of development in 2025. Happy holidays, Exiles. Well, there's some good definitely some good changes. The changes to in-game and monster balances, that is a huge one. I'd say this one. I'd say this one. The breach one. There's so many. Yeah. I'll put the link to the patch notes in the description.